Our selection for today will be Come Out the Wilderness. Tell me, how did you feel when you
come out the wilderness?
How did you feel when you
Come out the wilderness.
Oh, how did you feel when you
Come out the wilderness. A leaning on
Tell me, how did you feel when you
Come out the wilderness.
How did you feel when you
Come out the wilderness.
Oh, how did you feel when you
Come out the wilderness.
Oh,
A leaning on
Well, I looked at my hands and my
hands look new.
looked at my feet and
They did too.
well, I started to walk. I had a
Brand new walk.
then I started to talk and I
had a brand new talk.
well, I started to sing.
I had a brand
Yeah.
new song. And everybody wondered just
What was
wrong.
'Cause my soul was new when I
Come out the wilderness.
my heart was new when I
Come out the wilderness.
Oh yes, I loved everybody when I
Come out the wilderness.
Oh,
A leaning on
yeah. Well, I looked at my hands and my
hands look new.
said I looked at my feet and
They did too.
well, I started to walk. I had a
brand new walk.
then I started to talk and I
had a brand new talk.
well, I started to sing.
I had a brand new song. And everybody wondered just
What was wrong? 'Cause my soul was new when I
come out the wilderness.
my heart was new when I
Come out the wilderness.
Oh yes, I loved everybody when I
Come out the wilderness. A leaning on A leaning on A leaning on
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things, have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not once be named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's Holy Sabbath Day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. As we ended up going over some of the things about the redemption of the children of Israel, we ended up getting a lot of questions about the 144,000 and a lot of things regarding who's all going to be saved and things of that nature. And as we kept going into it to, explain, who those 144,000 were, it brought about a few more questions. And I think those questions result because so many of the beginning of our teaching didn't start with the order of how Yahweh does things. So what happens when people start hearing things about the 144,000 because they don't want to leave out any nations of the earth, now they start throwing the nations into the 144,000. 144,000 are all of the tribes of Israel. And how that ends up causing people some issues is when it comes down to certain things, people want to be inclusive to everybody. Salvation is inclusive to everybody. Rulership is not. And that is something that people have to understand. Each one of the sons of Noah have gotten their opportunity to rule the earth. You have these three sons of Noah from the beginning. Each one of their of those sons has gotten his opportunity to rule the earth. And when he did, then everybody that is connected to that lineage had an advantage in the earth. When Cush, the sons of Ham, ruled the earth, that would be the Egyptians. All of the people connected to him had advantage on the earth. The Africans had the advantage on the earth at that time. Then you come to the period of time where the Euro Gentiles have ruled, the sons of Japheth. That's this time now that is going to be coming to a close shortly. Then you find that Euro Gentiles have the advantage all over the earth. And what is amazing to me is when it comes down to the rulership of Shem, and when Israel gets their turn, then everybody wants to claim, well, you're not including us. Well, they didn't include us in their rulership. So why we need to include you in ours? You will be included in salvation. That don't mean you get to rule. And then when we get down to teaching, how are they going to teach if they don't understand what it is they're teaching? And this is what gets us in the biggest problem. We don't sit long enough to learn before we jumping in the part of teaching. And Facebook done got a lot of people in trouble. If my elder would still be living, I would still be a student. I never thought I was ready to become a teacher. The situation pushed to where there was no other choice. And I find it interesting how people make that choice on their own, and they don't have to. It's just something they want to do. They ain't been called. They called Yahweh and told him about it. People who get a charge, they get called to do a charge. You don't call him to tell him, oh, by the way, I'm going to teach for you. I'll let you know what I'm going to teach next week. What? Where they do that at? So, but because the nations have started to come at this thing, when you start dealing with this lineage of who the children of Israel are and the authority that has been given to the children of Israel, all of a sudden then there becomes this thing of now something must be racist, or this must be a racial issue. But every one of the sons of Noah has gotten his opportunity to rule. Yahweh just saved Israel for last. So let's go over some things so that we'll understand the restored order of Yah's house. And we're going to begin today's sermon in Exodus chapter 12. And we're going to start that at verse 1. Exodus chapter 12 and verse 1.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
Right. So we already know that our year doesn't start when everybody else's year does. So then you have to already, if you're going to be a servant of Yahweh, you're going to have to step out of the nation's line. And sometimes we've gotten into this point where we want to fit in with the other nations. This is why we was, begging for a king, because we want to fit in with everybody else. All other nations got a king. Give us a king so we can look like everybody else. Man, just follow your instructions. So now the nations got their new year on January 1st so they can worship the two-headed god Janus. Yahweh is showing us what the beginning of our year is, and it don't match the beginning of their year. So are you strong enough to declare that come January 1st, when they tell you Happy New Year, are you strong enough to declare, oh, that's not my New Year? Or do we just go around celebrating because we're going to fit in? We putting on party hats. No, it ain't the New Year. But we want to fit in. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Speak you unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house.
Mm-hmm.
And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next on to his house take it according to the number of the soul.
Right. So in a righteous kingdom, you're going to actually know who your neighbors are. Y'all going to actually share food. It won't just be, oh, there go them. They've been staying there for 20 years. You don't know who that is. Go ahead.
Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it from the sheep or from the goats. And you shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood, and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden it all with water, but roast it with fire, his head with his legs, and with the pertinence thereof.
Now, and we have to listen to these instructions, because when it comes down to certain things, I mean, when we eat lamb on our Passover, it is not our sacrifice. We have a perfect sacrifice in the Mashiach that has been offered up for our sins. But there's something that we have to pay attention to, because that say, you know, his head with his legs. Now, we're not used to eating nothing with the head still on it. You know I'm not. You know, so that's it's certain parts of the instruction that we will not hear because we don't like. I don't particularly like that part of the instruction, but I can't just not hear it. I can't just act like I didn't hear that part where the head gonna still be on it. I remember my first time somebody gave me a fish with the head on. I said, he keep looking at me. I'm not gonna be able to eat that. Why? No, he's looking at me. I can't. I'm not gonna be able to, eat that fish. See, I wasn't accustomed to that. I hadn't saw anything like that. Then you get in this book and you start hearing some things like that, but then you have to consider, for you to have your atonement, something had to die. See, if you can separate it like they separated in the store and it's just a little piece of meat, you ain't got to think about something had to die for you. Because you decided to do something. This thing, who did nothing, had to die for you. When you don't have to look at his head, you ain't got to think about that it had to die for you. See, when you got to look at the head and look at what an eyeball is supposed to be, you got to think about, I caused this thing to die. Right. Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 10. And you shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remains of it until the morning you shall burn with fire. And thus shall you eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And you shall eat it in haste. It is Yahweh's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am Yah. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt.
Right. So even though we deal with this being the Passover, it is the blood that caused the possibility for the atonement. So some innocent animal had to give up its life and shed its blood to make atonement for you. And not having to see the face of that animal gives us the opportunity to be detached from what had to happen. Go ahead.
Verse 14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to Yahweh throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
And we know that leaven is a representation of sin. So leaven causes things to rise. And when we sin, we have to understand what's happening inside our spirit. We are being puffed up or rising up against Yahweh, because what we want to implement is our own way. And that's exactly what being puffed up is. I understand the instruction, but this is what I want to do. I understand what we're supposed to do, but this is what I want. This is what feels good to me. Right. It's being puffed up. Leaven causes things to rise. Go ahead.
And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. And you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall you observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever.
So then we know that this is speaking of the Passover. So we know that during the time of the Passover, this is the beginning of our year. This is why they, of course, termed us April Fools. And before we came into the word, we celebrated it as well. Go ahead.
In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even.
Now, I must tell you, before this year, we had all been, we all go to the same place and get our unleavened bread. But I tell you, this last thing of sending the little law that the people passed for Israel, making them anybody who was a state employee had to sign a waiver of allegiance to Israel. Now, a country that they ain't never been in and don't live in. If those people either boycotted anything regarding Israel or belonged to any group that they didn't like, those people could lose their job. And they had 26 states pass this into law. This is law that they cannot speak out against Israel. Now, none of these people live in Israel. And I looked at a video where a Palestinian woman said, I can't sign that agreement. And they fired her. She had been a teacher for 9 years. And then they come out with these new regulations, and now she has lost her job. And when you consider that all of the unleavened bread that we were getting, of course, we're getting it. Most of that, of course, is made there. It has gotten me to that point where, maybe we need to start thinking about making our own as we start coming up onto this unleavened bread, because, the way these people have basically fooled the whole world, people are trapped into agreeing with the false state of Israel. They have been presented as the holy people, but nothing they do is holy. And then they use the law to push that. You talk about half of the churches are sending all kind of money to the so-called Jewish people. I mean, they have all kind of money. They have all kind of things. When you're talking about that agreement says that they would not be able to boycott. When you have to consider how, black people got the right to even sit where they wanted to on a bus. That was a boycott. These people are being made to sign an agreement saying that they will never do that, no matter what Israel does. Anytime somebody tell you to sign something for all future situations, wait a minute, man, I don't know what you're going to do tomorrow. But I have to agree that I'm not going to disagree with anything you say. But you ain't told me what you're going to say. So I'm going to tell you I ain't never going to agree with it. All I can deal with is what you're saying and what you're dealing with right now. I don't know what you're going to deal with tomorrow. So I got to agree to that before tomorrow comes? And what righteous people would ask you to do that? This is the part that we're not seeing. Somebody who's seeking after righteousness don't ask you that. When somebody say, tell me you're going to do me a favor. What's the favor? Just tell me you're going to do it. Let me tell you something. Somebody seeking after righteousness don't ask you that. Go ahead and agree to it before I tell you what it is. Are you crazy? Why would you ask me that? See, people who trying to be slick want you to agree to things before you find out all of the particulars about that particular thing. See? So they got to hide certain aspects of it. I'm going to hide who it's really about. I'm going to hide who really going to be there. I'm going to hide because you get there and you're like, hey, man, me and these people going to get along. You knew me and these people don't get along, man. Why you invite both of us to the same thing? Now, you got me working on one side, man. You know them people don't like me. Why would somebody trying to do something righteous, why would you do that? And the things that they are pushing people to do, because that was their push to push these states into making these agreements. That's their push. They have their own racism that only fits them. Anti-Semitic is only meaning that you said something against so-called Jews. Now, you can hate black people, you can hate Mexicans, you can hate Russians, you can hate all them. But if you say something about Israel, then you're anti-Semitic, which is an oxymoron because they're not Shemites. Those people are of the seed of Yahweh. That's why they in power now. And people not figuring that out. Righteous rulership for the children of Israel don't come to the end. So how they in control and got their own country, in charge of banks, in charge, got their own weapon, got their own army, got their own air force. They ain't supposed to have that yet if they the true children of Israel. Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 19. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses, for whosoever eats that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. You shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitations you shall eat unleavened bread. Then Moshe called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, Draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning.
Right. Instructions are imperative for you to listen to so that you may be able to follow. Most time people can't follow instructions because they ain't really listening. Or you can talk to your kid and tell them about 2, 3 things. Go in the kitchen, get that trash, and take it outside to the trash can outside. He heard, go to the kitchen. So he just standing there in the kitchen, just looking. Now he can't follow the rest of the instructions because he ain't heard them. So he just standing there in the kitchen, just floating around. Just, man, what are you doing? You trying to figure out the rest of the instructions, huh? You weren't listening. Right. The instructions, see, we'll do certain parts of it. Now we'll go get the lamb, we'll mark over our door with the blood, because you know that part seems nice. You know what I'm saying? Then it said, don't go out the house. We're going to end up with an excuse why we had to go out to the house.
No, but see, Yahweh, see what had happened was, no, I had to go out. See, cause see, and then, cause see, that's why, because.
Right. And that's why you finna die. I hope the reason was good to you, because you're going to die. The instruction, don't go out of the house. Now, this is the part where the men of the house going to have to make a decision whether or not they're going to be men or not. When somebody come to you and they start giving you the reason why they got to go in the house. I got to go outside. What you going to do? You going to try to be peaceful? Or you going to sit something in front of that door? Ain't nobody going outside that door right there unless they kill me. Now, don't come back to me with no questions. Don't come back to me with no negotiation. Ain't nobody going outside that door. Now, if I got to nail these windows shut, ain't nobody going out that door till morning light. See, we brothers don't have no place with Yahweh. He ain't going to be able to do nothing with a bunch of henpecked brothers. Yahweh got a job to do. Them henpecked dudes, they just fall in the corn. You throw out the corn, they just run after it. They don't know what to do. Yahweh got instruction. Them henpecked brothers, they gone. Yahweh ain't going to be able to do nothing with them henpecked brothers. And henpecked brothers don't last long here. So if you see one, don't worry about it. They won't be here for long. Because Yahweh ain't going to be able to do nothing with them. Because when it come time to action, instead of going into action, they're going to be asking, baby, you think I ought to be? Right. Right. Yahweh like, next. Read, man.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 23. For Yahweh will pass through to smite the Egyptians, and when he sees the blood upon the lintel and on the 2 side posts, Yahweh will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyer to come in onto your houses to smite you.
Right. This is about the destroyer. So are you worrying about how people feel in the house, or are you going to try to keep them from the destroyer? And don't get it twisted. Everybody ain't happy with you while you trying to save them. You have to fight with people to save them. Go ahead.
And you shall observe this thing for an ordinance to you and to your sons forever. And it shall come to pass, when you be come to the land which Yahweh will give you, according as he has promised, that you shall keep this service.
Now, I want you to read verse 24 again.
Verse 24.
Yeah.
And you shall observe this thing for an ordinance to you and to your sons forever.
To who?
Your sons.
Okay. Because, see, people will sweat. This is why a lot of times people don't like this Old Testament. They say, saying that God, he's a mean God, and he don't deal with nothing but men. There's a righteous order that's set up. See, this newfound way of dealing, they got women pastors, they got women doing all kind of things. Hey, when it comes down to these things, when it comes down to those holy days, there's never a situation where a man should be unclean and unable to do a job. If he's unclean, it was something 9 times out of 10 that he did himself. A woman is not in control of what time she may be unclean. So when it comes down to these holy days, she don't know what days, how that's going to fall. But you know what? That in no way deals with the man. And the crazy thing is, the women will be the one that's on time. The men floating around somewhere. Like, where the brothers at? Oh, I don't know where they at. Right. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, verse 26, and it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, what mean you by this service? That you shall say, it is the service of Yahweh's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians, and delivered our houses. And the people bowed their head and worshipped. And the children of Israel went away, and did as Yahweh had commanded Moshe and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass that at midnight Yahweh smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle.
Right. He said, and it came to pass at midnight. This one, some of us just not getting out. This is when the party just now starting at midnight. This is also when death and destruction lurks through the street. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians. And there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead.
So you have to consider what eventually drove the Egyptians to release the children of Israel and want to give them whatever to have them leave. It was when they suffered loss. Pay attention. See, nobody want to take that L. But when they take that L, it's going to warm up that heart a little bit to want to give what they wouldn't give before. We ain't giving y'all no reparation. We ain't giving y'all. Watch when somebody start taking that L and watch how it change their heart. Watch. Go ahead.
Even when you think about this, when it says the firstborn, we're thinking of little children. It could have been a grown man. If he was the firstborn, he dead.
Yeah, exactly. See a 20-year-old just fall out. Big, strong, muscle-bound dude just pass out for no reason. And this is the beginning, of the family strength. That meant something. Go ahead.
And he called for Moshe and Aaron by night, and said, rise up, and get you forth from among my people, both you and the children of Israel.
You see, the same one that wouldn't let them go. When they took that L, when they suffered loss in their house, get up, go right now at midnight. Hold on now. Ain't no, I'm trying to explain y'all something. Ain't no, they don't have no neon lights in Egypt. Okay, so when it get dark, I'm talking about it get dark. I'm talking about Afghanistan night dark. It's dark. He said, leave now. Now, first, I ain't gonna let you go, but now you need to go right now, immediately. Right, get all your stuff, all your people, get your cat, your dog, your cows, your goats, everything you got, get on. That's a big change, ain't it? But why we got to wait for Yahweh to touch us for us to do certain things? See, that's that pride and arrogance that allows us that we're going to maintain our way to the very end. But the very end may end up being your very end. Go ahead.
And go, serve Yahweh as you have said. Also take your flocks and your herds as you have said, and be gone.
Gone.
And bless me also.
Bless me on the way out. Now, I've been doing all kind of evil to you. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing all these things. But see, that's just how selfish people act. They ain't going to put nothing in. They ain't going to do no work. They not going to contribute. But you know what? On their way out, bless me on your way out, please. Right. Show you right. Go ahead.
And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste. For they said, we be all dead men.
Right.
And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moshe, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment.
Right. So then once they suffer loss, when they take that L, now their silver and gold don't even mean that much to them now. Why? Because they done lost everything else. See, everybody think that silver and gold means something. Until some real important things in your life is gone, then you realize that's what I was stacking all the money for. All that's gone. Get it to these people so they can get the hell out of here. And that's what they're going to do to us. Go ahead.
And Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required.
Right. And you know it's going to have to be a pretty strong thing for Yahweh to cause the people, us to have favor in the eyes of America. That's going to have to be something pretty strong. She's going to have to take a L. And like we talked about before, the first L is always the hardest one. Ain't nothing worse than that first. I ain't gonna mess with you, Uzi. I'm not gonna mess with Alabama. I'm gonna leave y'all alone. Well, you ain't even got to be hiding over there, man. The first L is hard. It is extremely difficult. And she not gonna like taking the L. And ain't no telling what kind of lashing out she gonna do when she first take that L. Everybody may become enemies. Everybody. You seen people when they get that first L, man, they may go in the locker room and the dudes fighting each other. They on the same team. Because now they trying to find out who thought it was.
If you would have did such and such, we wouldn't have lost.
Right. That's the emotion of that first loss. And it's hard to tell people when they got a lot of money that they ain't winning. They think they winning. Until that first loss comes. Go ahead.
And they spoiled the Egyptians. Verse 37. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men, beside the children. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle.
And that's the part you have to listen to. A mixed multitude went up also with them. When you're dealing with a kingdom that has basically spread itself across the majority of that area, as they overtake people, they bring other ethnicities of people inside of their kingdom. So when you deal with the fall of Egypt, you have other people that then say, all right, well, we're going with them. So there was a mixed multitude from the beginning. So a lot of times people think that all of this allowing other people to have the opportunity at salvation only came with this New Testament. This was in here from the beginning. But there was order attached to it. And that's the problem. People want to have a part and a stake in something, but without following the order. And that ain't going to work. Go ahead.
And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they brought forth out of Egypt. For it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt, and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel, who dwelt in Egypt, was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, Even the self same day it came to pass that all the host of Yahweh, went out from the land of Egypt. It is a night to be much observed unto Yahweh for bringing them out from the land of Egypt. This is that night of Yahweh to be observed of all the children of Israel in their generations. And Yahweh said unto Moshe and Aaron, This is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. But every man's servant that is bought for money, when you have circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof.
So once you have circumcised him, then he may be able to take part in this Passover. But it says, what did it say about the circumcision? It wasn't just that individual. As we read, we find out that, hey, all these males must be circumcised to take part in that. So when people try to say that, Yahweh has cut off this thing and he's just dealing with these people or this certain group of people, no, the rules were one way for Israel, and if they were going to take part in it, then they had to take part in the same rules. That's that thing when you're going to take people into your house, you have to consider you got kids and your kids got a dress code, but then you're going to take your sister's kids in and they all dress like skanks. So now you got your kids dressing one way and then you got them skanks walking up and down the hall. Now your kids is looking like, well, why I can't dress skank? I want to be a little skankish, I want to be a little skank-like, I mean, I want to be a straight skank, but I want to be, skankish here now and then. No! See, you got to cut off the skank. Look here. You got to tell you, so look here. I'm trying to help you out. You going to be up in here, but let me tell you something. We got rules and regulations in here. Your little kids can't be walking around here in their skank clothes. I got respectable people I'm trying to raise up in here. I know that ain't how yours live. And we're going to hurry up and try to get y'all the hell out of here. But until that time, you're going to have to act like you ain't skank. So let's play pretend skank, okay? We're going to pretend that we're not skank while you stay in here. That's the way this going to go down. Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 46. In one house shall it be eaten, you shall not carry forth out of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall you break a bone thereof. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it, and when a stranger shall sojourn with you, and will keep the Passover to Yahweh, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it, and he shall be as one that is born in the land. For no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourns among you. Thus did all the children of Israel, as Yahweh commanded Moshe and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the selfsame day that Yahweh did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies.
All right. Now, if you go into, now we're going to go to Numbers chapter 3, but if you go into Numbers 14 and 15, you'll find that these instructions not only go just about the Passover, you're going to find that those same things are in other sacrifices as well. So that's just not limited to this Passover. And I know we read the things about the Passover, but we have to understand that that does go into other things as well. So let's go to Numbers chapter 3. Numbers chapter 3, and let's start that at verse 1.
Verse 1. These also are the generations of Aaron and Moshe in the day that Yahweh spake with Moshe in Mount Sinai. And these are the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadab, the firstborn, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These are the names of the sons of Aaron, the priests which were anointed, whom he consecrated to minister in the priest's office. And Nadab and Abihu died before Yahweh, when they offered strange fire before Yahweh, in the wilderness of Sinai, and they had no children.
Right. So they were authorized to do certain things, but then they did those things out of order, and it caused them to be killed. Your authorization means nothing if you then decide that you're going to do your own thing. You destroyed your own authorization. Go ahead.
And Eleazar and Ithamar ministered in the priest's office in the sight of Aaron their father. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Bring the tribe of Levi near, and present them before Aaron the priest, that they may minister unto him. And they shall keep his charge, and the charge of the whole congregation before the tabernacle of the congregation, to do the service of the tabernacle. And they shall keep all the instruments of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the charge of the children of Israel, to do the service of the tabernacle. And you shall give the Levites unto Aaron and to his sons. They are wholly given unto him out of the children of Israel. And you shall appoint Aaron and his sons, and they shall wait on their priest office. And the stranger that comes near shall be put to death. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, And I, behold, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel instead of all the firstborn that opens the matrix among the children of Israel. Therefore the Levites shall be mine. Because all the firstborn are mine, for on the day that I smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I hallowed unto me all the firstborn in Israel, both man and beast, mine shall they be, I am Yah.
So the firstborn belong to Yahweh. Yahweh has purchased them with the price of the things that he did to the Egyptians. And when you look at these jobs, you find out that these duties follow the fathers. The fathers do what it is their job is, and then they hand that job down to their sons. So then we understand that there's an order here of how these things are being done. This is why sometimes when people read the book and they start saying begat, 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 they think it wasn't any women. There's many women in that. They just giving you the lineage. The lineage is going to follow the male. But there's all kind of women in that lineage as they're listing those things. Go ahead.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai, saying, Number the children of Levi after the house of their fathers, by their families, every male from a month old and upward shall you number them. And Moshe numbered them according to the word of Yahweh, as he was commanded. And these were the sons of Levi by their names, Gershon and Kohath and Merari. And these are the names of the sons of Gershon by their families, Libni and Shimei. And the sons of Kohath by their families, Amram and Izahar, Hebron and Uzziel. And the sons of Merari by their families, Mahali and Mushai. These are the families of the Levites according to the house of their fathers. Of Gershon was the family of the Libnites, and the family of the Shimites. These are the families of the Gershonites. Those that were numbered of them, according to the number of all the males, from a month old and upward, even those that were numbered of them were 7,500. The families of the Gershonites shall pitch behind the tabernacle westward. And the chief of the house of the father of the Gershonites shall be Elisaph, the son of Lael. And the charge of the sons of Gershon in the tabernacle of the congregation shall be the tabernacle and the tent, the covering thereof, and the hanging for the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the hangings of the court, and the curtain for the door of the court, which is by the tabernacle, and by the altar round about, and the cords of it for all the service thereof.
So then you find out certain ones have certain duties, and they're going to pass these duties down to their sons. So when you have people that they want to make this newfound thing, all of a sudden now you got women pastors. The job passed down through the males. Where a woman pastor come at? How she get in here? And how you get priests who not supposed to get married? They got sons. How you gonna get sons without being married? So then you got the Catholic priesthood. They say, hey, they so holy. They're not gonna deal with no woman. And we ain't gonna be, that's gonna make us unclean. Now what made you unclean is what you did to them little boys back there in that choir. That's what made you unclean. You should have married a woman. These sons then turn around and had the job that their fathers did. Go ahead.
Verse 27. And of Kohath was the family of the Amramites, and the family of the Izaharites, and the family of the Hebronites, and the family of the Israelites. These are the families of the Kohathites. In the number of all the males from a month old and upward were 8,600, keeping the charge of the sanctuary. The families of the sons of Kohath shall pitch on the side of the tabernacle southward. And the chief of the house of the fathers of the families of the Kohathites shall be Elizaphan, the son of Uzziel.
So then when you see certain duties, these people understand how to do these duties because it has been handed down from them for generation to generation. Then you get off in the end of the New Testament, and now people want to insert every other religion, where the Methodist is this tribe and the Baptist is this tribe, and they don't know nothing about doing none of this. And they ain't going to read none of the instructions either, because they don't think the instructions matter. They think order somehow got erased in the middle of the book. Go ahead.
And their charge shall be the ark, and the table, and the candlestick, and the altars, and the vessels of the sanctuary wherewith they minister, and the hanging, and all the service thereof.
Right. So if you have one family, and your family job is to work the candlestick and the incense, but you over on the other side of the sanctuary doing something else, you might die. That ain't your job. Go ahead.
And Eleazar the son of Aaron, the priest, shall be chief over the chief of the Levites, and have the oversight of them that keep the charge of the sanctuary. Of Merari was the family of the Mahalites, and the family of the Mushites. These are the families of Merari. And those that were numbered of them, according to the number of all the males from a month old and upward, were 6,200. And the chief of the house of the father of the families of Merari was Zuriel, the son of Abihail. These shall pitch on the side of the tabernacle northward. And under the custody and charge of the sons of Merari shall be the boards of the tabernacles, and the bars thereof, and the pillars thereof, and the sockets thereof, and all the vessels thereof, and all that serve it thereto, and the pillars of the court round about, and their sockets, and their pins, and their cords. But those that encamp before the tabernacle toward the east, even before the tabernacle of the congregation eastward, shall be Moshe and Aaron and his sons, keeping the charge of the sanctuary for the charge of the children of Israel, and the stranger that comes near shall be put to death.
Right. So then, but those that encamp before the tabernacle toward the east, even for the tabernacle of the congregation eastward, shall be Moshe and Aaron and his sons, keeping the charge of the sanctuary for the charge of the children of Israel. So, and the stranger that comes near shall be put to death. People going to try to talk you into letting strangers come in the rulership of what's supposed to be done. Go ahead.
All that were numbered of the Levites, which Moshe and Aaron numbered at the commandment of YAH, throughout their families, all the males from a month old and upward were 22,000. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, number all the firstborn of the males of the children of Israel from a month old and upward, and take the number of their names. And you shall take the Levites for me, I am Yahweh, instead of all the firstborn among the children of Israel, and the cattle of the Levites instead of all the firstlings among the cattle of the children of Israel.
Right. So the Levites, the priests, are set aside and completely different from everybody else. Go ahead.
And Moshe numbered, as Yahweh commanded him, all the firstborn among the children of Israel. And all the firstborn males by the number of names, from a month old and upward, of those that were numbered of them, were 22,213. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, take the Levites instead of all the firstborn among the children of Israel, and the cattle of the Levites instead of their cattle, and the Levites shall be mine. I am Yah. And for those that are to be redeemed of the 213 of the firstborn of the children of Israel, which are more than the Levites, you shall even take 5 shekels apiece by the poll. After the shekel of the sanctuary shall you take them. The shekel is 20 gerahs. And you shall give the money wherewith the odd number of them is to be redeemed unto Aaron and to his sons. And Moshe took the redemption money of them that were over and above them that were redeemed by the Levites. Of the firstborn of the children of Israel took he the money, 1,365 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And Moshe gave the money of them that were redeemed unto Aaron and to his sons, according to the word of Yahweh, as Yahweh commanded Moshe.
All right. Let's go to 1 Chronicles chapter 9. See, there's order in how things are done, and Yahweh is going to expect us to understand that order. See, we can't just come in and shout and dance and sing a lot of songs, and then when it comes time to do things, we don't understand how it's supposed to be done. We don't understand who is supposed to be doing what, and then that question is going to come about. How is it you don't understand this? Remember what was said about the wedding feast. They went out and invited all these people, right? But then at some point they asked, hey man, how you get in here not having a wedding garment? Why was he expected to know how he was supposed to dress? See, it's customary to go to Sunday church for 20, 30 years and still not know anything. That's not customary in here. If people don't follow the instructions because they didn't like them, it wasn't because they didn't know what they was. Because, you know, we got that selective hearing loss. Uh-oh, here comes the instruction. La, 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 la. See if that work with Yahweh. Because he going to be able to play back every time that instruction was given. You hear this right here? That was your instruction. Okay, you hear this right here? This was your instruction. Okay, you heard these right here? You got instructions from 4 different people about the same thing. And this is what you did. So here go your judgment. So that whole thinking that we're going to be able to slide off what we think, feel, and believe means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of salvation. As Yahshua said, I got other sheep that are not of this fold. It ain't just about you and what you see. There's a whole lot of other sheep Yahweh got to bring into this fold. He's doing the same thing in every place where he has his name. And we're not going to prevent them, and they're not going to prevent us. Go ahead.
1 Chronicles chapter 9 and verse 1. So all Israel were reckoned by genealogies, and behold, they were written in the book of the kings of Israel and Yehudah, who were carried away to Babylon for their transgression. Now the first inhabitants that dwelt in their possessions in their cities were the Israelites, the priests, Levites, and the Nethinims. And in Jerusalem dwelt of the children of Yehudah, and of the children of Benjamin, and of the children of Ephraim and Manasseh, Uthai, the son of Ammihud, the son of Amri, the son of Imri, the son of Bani, of the children of Phares, the son of Yehudah, and of the Shilonites, Esaiah, the firstborn and his sons, and of the sons of Zerah, Yeuel, and their brethren, 690, and of the sons of Benjamin, Salu, the son of Meshullam, the son of Hadavah, the son of Hasanah, and Ibnah, the son of Jeroham, and Elah, the son of Uzzah, the son of Mikri, and Meshullam, the son of Shephatiah, the son of Reuel, the son of Ibniah, and their brethren, according to their generations, 956. All these men were chief of the fathers of the house of their fathers.
All right. Now I'll jump to verse 17.
And the porters were Shalem, and Akub, and Talmon, and Ahiman, and their brethren, Shalem was the chief, who hitherto waited in the king's gate eastward. They were porters in the companies of the children of Levi. And Shalem the son of Kor, the son of Abisaph, the son of Korah, and his brethren of the house of his father, the Korahites, were over the work of the service, keepers of the gates of the tabernacle, and their fathers, being over the house of YAH, were keepers of the entry.
Right. So when you have people who's supposed to be watching the door, but they over there burning incense, now we got a problem. So you just don't do stuff because you feel like, you ought to do it. Go ahead.
And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, was the ruler over them in time past, and Yahweh was with him. And Zechariah, the son of Meshelemiah, was porter of the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. All these which were chosen to be porters in the gates were 212. These were reckoned by their genealogy in their villages, whom Dawid and Samuel the seer did ordain in their set office.
Right. So when you get down to this and people have a problem with you doing things throughout, through genealogy, they don't understand that this is how these jobs were separated. They were separated according to the genealogy. It wasn't just, they were priests and all the priests did these jobs. No. Certain families had certain jobs and it never changed. You were never going to jump from the door, man, to start doing incense. That ain't never going to happen. Go ahead.
So they and their children had the oversight of the gates of the house of YAH, namely the house of the tabernacle, by wards. In 4 quarters were the porters toward the east, west, north, and south. And their brethren, which were in their villages, were to come after 7 days from time to time with them. For these Levites, the 4 chief porters, were in their set office, and were over the chambers and treasuries of the house of Elohim. And they lodged round about the house of Elohim, because the charge was upon them, and the opening thereof every morning pertained to them.
Right. They lodged round about the house of Elohim because they had to constantly go in there and do this work. So it was needed for them to be near the house. All the other people got land. The Levites didn't. So you talk about this work, it's constantly something that has to be done. And when you consider, and I don't think people think about that, by the time y'all see me on the Sabbath, y'all don't know how many times I've already been up here. Kids don't live nowhere near here. He always up here. There's so much work that has to be done. It's a reason why they stayed near it. You might just have to come up here for 15 minutes. Do something and leave. Come back up again, 30 minutes, and leave. Well, that get to be a problem when you about 3 hours away. These brothers had jobs and they had to be faithful in those jobs. So they were constantly around, going back and forth. And they didn't have 400 horsepower like we got. Go ahead.
And certain of them had the charge of the ministering vessels, that they should bring them in and out by tale. Some of them also were appointed to oversee the vessels, and all the instruments of the sanctuary, and the fine flour, and the wine, and the oil, and the frankincense, and the spices. And some of the sons of the priests made the ointment of the spices. And Mattathiah, one of the Levites, who was the firstborn of Shalem, the Korahite, had the set office over the things that were made in the pans. And other of their brethren, of the sons of the Kohathites, were over the showbread, to prepare it every Sabbath.
So there was a family. Now consider this. You got people that was like, oh, well, we can't cook, because you can't set no fire on the Sabbath. You can't cook. So you got them you got them cold cut Hebrews. You know what I'm saying? So they eat cold cuts on the Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? So you got them cold cut Hebrews. They said you can't cook or set a fire on the Sabbath day. So they drinking cold coffee and they eating sandwiches. Now, I want you to back up and read that again.
And other of their brethren of the sons of the Kohathites were over the showbread to prepare it every Sabbath.
So this a whole family you going to put out because you want to eat cold cuts. This their job to cook this hot bread on the Sabbath. But you got a whole group of Hebrews out there teaching on the internet. And I remember people showed up. One of them sisters went in there to make some popcorn for the kids. And they was like, oh my God, no. Oh my God. No, they did not. Is that food I smell in there? Oh man, they went holy. Oh, they was walking on the clouds. They was so holy. Oh no, we didn't. How they gonna heat up something on the Sabbath? You got a whole family. This their job. But see, when we are ignorant of Elohim's righteousness and we're gonna go make our own, we here eating a meal. People pull out their cold cuts. Man, I don't care what you do. Just don't try to put that on us. Because you don't understand what's written in this book. You want to eat you some cold cuts. Eat those cold cuts. But I'm going to eat this hot chicken. You understand what I'm saying to you? I'm going to heat up these collards. And I'm going to have me a meal. Don't put your cold cuts on me. If that's what you want to do, you want to have your cold coffee, you go ahead and do that. I like mine smoking. I like mine so hot, I can't even just... It hit the top lip too fast. I like my food so hot, I got to jump it around in my mouth. They already know. They bring me my food and it ain't smoking. Take that back, baby. Take that back. That ain't hot enough because it ain't no smoke coming from that. I'm one of them dudes that eat right off the grill. Right. But see, here's that thing. You got people with their level of understanding, but they already teaching other people. They already directing people. If you just waited on that, you would have got the understanding of that before you was out telling people. Now you got all these people walking around with cold cuts. Read, man.
Verse 33. And these are the singers, chief of the fathers of the Levites, who remaining in the chambers were free, for they were employed in that work day and night. These chief fathers of the Levites were chief throughout their generations. These dwelt at Jerusalem.
All right, you finished that, brother?
Yes.
Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 15. And when you get right down to the offerings, no matter what, the offerings were things offered by fire. By fire. Let me explain. By fire. Offerings are offered by fire. There's a reason why certain things are done. Go ahead, bro.
No, another thing too, we know we have feast days, but there are also feast days that fall on the 7-day Sabbath. The regular weekly Sabbath, making that a high Sabbath.
Right.
Which we still have to cook.
Of course we still got to cook. You know, you find out it was these brothers to cook. It was their job to cook every Sabbath. But now we're going to throw out this whole family. What they supposed to do now? So what this whole family supposed? So the whole family of Israel just supposed to fall off because people don't want to cook? Because they said, well, no, we can't cook. Not understanding that when they talking about not setting a fire, that's for work, for other things. These are things that are ordained here that are supposed to happen. And when you talk about, that's the reason why when you even look at those things and the angel came upon those people and they made an offering, why you think it was fire that came out of heaven and consumed the offering? What's the problem? Fire. It has to be cooked by fire. So, you know, you when you consider, you know, these offerings and these things, when we have these feast days, there's a reason why we have cooked things. We don't show up with a bunch of lettuce and cold cuts. Talking about, hey, this is a Passover sandwich. No, bro, that ain't gonna work here. 2 Samuel chapter 15, and let's read verses 24 through 30.
And lo, Zadok also and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of Elohim. And they set down the ark of Elohim, and Abiathar went up until all the people had done passing out of the city.
Right. Now this is, the situation that's happening with King Dawid, and then you have these brothers who are in the priesthood having to move this ark. Go ahead.
And the king said unto Zadok, carry back the ark of Elohim into the city. If I shall find favor in the eyes of Yahweh, he will bring me again and show me both it and his habitation. But if he does say, I have no delight in you, behold, here am I. Let him do to me as seems good unto him. Then the king said also unto Zadok the priest, Are not you a seer? Return into the city in peace, and your 2 sons with you, Ahimaaz your son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. See, I will tarry in the plain of the wilderness until there come word from you to certify me.
Right. Even as the king, he is separating himself and understanding the rulership of the priest. The king has certain authority. The priest has certain authority. You don't mix them two. Go ahead.
Zadok therefore and Abiathar carried the ark of Elohim again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there.
Understand, when Dawid tried to move that ark before, and he didn't have the Levites moving it, and somebody died. He didn't figure out right away what happened. He didn't do it according to the righteous order. Then he had to go back and get those Levites, who it was their charge to move the ark, and have them move it. Wasn't that thing where Yahweh say, oh yeah, you the king, you go ahead and do what you want to do. No. That ain't how this thing work here. See, people who don't understand their instructions end up getting killed. And you either learn those instructions now, because when we get to the place where Yahweh expect us to know, hey, the brother who touched the ark didn't think he was doing nothing wrong. But you have to consider, was Yahweh saying, why didn't you know that? Why didn't you know that you couldn't touch my seat? I don't care what it was sitting on. I don't care nothing about it shaking. Why you didn't know you couldn't touch my seat? Where you been? Go ahead.
And Dawid went up by the ascent of Mount Olivet and wept as he went up.
Okay, Dawid went up by the ascent of Mount Olivet and wept as he went up. And you have to consider, wait a minute. When you deal with all the things of the Messiah, where did that happen at? Mount Olivet. When it says where he gonna return to, where he gonna return to? Mount Olivet. But we think Yahweh just be doing some stuff. So we don't understand there's order in all of this. And then look at the whole thing of what's happening. He is in great mourning as he's going up the ascent of Mount Olivet. Think about the great horrible situation that happened with the Mashiach at Mount Olivet. Go ahead.
And had his head covered, and he went barefoot.
Now, people gonna look at it. Well, see, they didn't cover their head until this situation happened. Now, there's a totally different situation between having a veil completely over your head, completely covered, and then just having a head covering, which we will get to in a second. Go ahead.
And all the people that was with him covered every man his head, and they went up, weeping as they went up.
All right. You got to the end of that?
Yes.
All right. Now let's go to Ezekiel chapter 40. Ezekiel chapter 40, and let's start with verses 1 through 4.
Verse 1. In the 25th year of our captivity, in the beginning of the year, in the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after that city was smitten, in the selfsame day the hand of Yahweh was upon me, and brought me thither. In the visions of Elohim brought he me into the land of Israel, and set me upon a very high mountain, by which was as the frame of a city on the south. And he brought me thither, and behold, there was a man, whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flax in his hand, and a measuring reed, and he stood in the gate. And the man said unto me,
Now, and he brought me hither, verse 3, and behold, there was a man, not that he had no wings, and his appearance was like the appearance of brass. What does brass look like? But see, people start saying, oh, no, you racist, brother. You know what I'm saying? Why the angel got to have a certain color, brother? Why the angel got to have a... It didn't say he was of color of snow. Now, how did I become racist? Because I read it. It said it was the appearance of brass. And that would be what we would call antique brass. Not that shiny gold stuff. The dark brown gold looking stuff. You know, like this here. Like that right there. Right. Read, man.
And the man said unto me, Son of man, behold with your eyes, and hear with your ears, and set your heart upon all that I shall show you. For to the intent that I might show them unto you, art you brought hither. Declare all that you see to the house of Israel.
Now, the subheading that comes after this says the vision of the future temple. And this goes on for several chapters. But we're going to skip to chapter 44 as it's going through all of these things of this future setup here. 44, Ezekiel chapter 44, and then we're going to start that at verse 1. But you got to understand in the beginning who's giving this thing here. See, if you skip that part, you don't understand that this is a vision given to him by the brass man. Okay? Ezekiel 44, and let's start that at verse 1.
Then he brought me back the way of the gate of the outward sanctuary, which looks toward the east, and it was shut. Then said Yahweh unto me, This gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, and no man shall enter in by it, because Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, has entered in by it, therefore it shall be shut. It is for the prince. The prince, he shall sit in it to eat bread before Yahweh. He shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate, and shall go out by the way of the same. Then brought he me the way of the north gate before the house. And I looked, and behold, the glory of Yahweh filled the house of Yahweh, and I fell upon my face. And Yahweh said unto me, Son of man, mark well, and behold with your eyes, and hear with your ears all that I say unto you concerning all the ordinance of the house of Yahweh, and all the laws thereof, and mark well the entering in of the house with every going forth of the sanctuary. And you shall say to the rebellious, even to the house of Israel, Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, O you house of Israel, let it suffice you of all your abominations, in that you have brought into my sanctuary strangers, uncircumcised in heart and uncircumcised in flesh.
Uncircumcised in heart means they ain't gonna follow no instruction. See? So what we trying to deal with is the circumcision of the flesh, and not understanding that we got uncircumcised heart because we ain't gonna follow nothing. Go ahead.
To be in my sanctuary, to pollute it, even my house. When you offer my bread, the fat and the blood, and they have broken my covenant because of all your abominations.
Right. Because when people see that this is how the people walk who's supposed to be in charge, what you think they're going to do? Oh, this how they play game? Well, we're going to play game too. Go ahead.
And you have not kept the charge of mine holy things, but you have set keepers of my charge in my sanctuary for yourselves.
Right. These my friends. I like them. I'm going to let them lead. And they don't know nothing about leading. Go ahead.
Thus said the Adonai Yah, no stranger, uncircumcised in heart, nor uncircumcised in flesh, shall enter into my sanctuary of any stranger that is among the children of Israel.
So, strangers always had the right to be in, but they had to have this circumcision. Then you get down to the New Testament, and that covenant of circumcision was not given unto the Gentiles at that point. So then there's a grace period even on the circumcision. But when you get down to this future temple, that grace period gonna be over. They're gonna have to have that circumcision in flesh and in heart, or they're not coming in. But see, people want to do what they want to do, and I guarantee you somebody gonna still try it. Yahweh always have to make an example out of somebody. Go ahead.
And the Levites that are gone away far from me, when Israel went astray, which went astray away from me after their idols, they shall even bear their lawlessness.
Right. And the Levites that are gone away far away from me. Now these are those that he sanctified unto himself. These are those when everybody else go away from Israel. The Levites should have still been there. Go ahead.
Yet they shall be ministers in my sanctuary, having charge at the gates of the house, and ministering to the house. They shall slay the burnt offering and the sacrifice for the people, and they shall stand before them to minister unto them. Because they ministered unto them before their idols, and caused the house of Israel to fall into lawlessness. Therefore have I lifted up mine hand against them, says the YAH, and they shall bear their lawlessness. And they shall not come near unto me to do the office of a priest unto me, nor to come near to any of my holy things in the most holy place. But they shall bear their shame and their abominations which they have committed. But I will make them keepers of the charge of the house, for all the service thereof, and for all that shall be done therein.
All right, so then he's going to change this order because of how people, remember it says, you who have been faithful in little will be faithful in much. So in other words, people are in a trial period and they don't know it. So you got some people working and other people just watching other people work, not understanding what you're doing is setting your future job in the kingdom. Read.
But the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, that kept the charge of my sanctuary when the children of Israel went astray from me, they shall come near to me to minister unto me.
Right. The ones who were faithful, they're going to be the ones that can approach unto me. Them other ones, keep them out there. Let them do some other stuff. I ain't going to cut them all the way off, but they're not going to come up in here. Now, don't get it twisted. Just being a doorkeeper in the kingdom is being in the kingdom. Some people ain't going to get in, period. Go ahead.
And they shall stand before me to offer unto me the fat and the blood, said the YAH. They shall enter into my sanctuary, and they shall come near to my table to minister unto me, and they shall keep my charge. And it shall come to pass that when they enter in at the gates of the inner court, they shall be clothed with linen garments, and no wool shall come upon them, whilst they minister in the gates of the inner court and within. They shall have linen bonnets upon their heads.
Right. Future kingdom, they're going to have linen bonnets on their head. That's totally different from the veils that they had covering their heads walking up mourning. But see, if you don't know that, you're going to let somebody read half or something to you. And you're going to be out there with them howling at the moon, dealing with all them people out on the corner, talking about everybody who read is prophesying, so you need to take your head covering off. Go ahead.
And shall have linen breeches upon their loins. They shall not gird themselves with anything that causes sweat. And when they go forth into the outer court, even into the outer court to the people, they shall put off their garments wherein they ministered, and lay them in the holy chambers, and they shall put on other garments. And they shall not sanctify the people with their garments.
And you know, it says they shall not wear anything that causes them to sweat. This is how I know T.D. Jakes ain't never going to be there. I ain't never seen that dude not sweat. I mean, he be sweating buckets. I be like, good God Almighty, I ain't never seen nobody sweat that much. He always said they shall not be clothed with anything that causes sweat. Anything he put on make him sweat. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 20. Neither shall they shave their heads, nor suffer their locks to grow long. They shall only poll their heads.
And we know the Christian way is to have that clean face. Only recently have you even started seeing any Christians with hair on their face. All the pastors had the smooth baby bottom face. And then they push us to do the same. Shave all your hair. And here Yahweh go, I made a man and a woman different. So why I see every man looking like his woman? They getting their nails done together. They getting facials together. Hey man, which one of y'all is the husband and which one the wife? The angel probably come up and he confused. Which one of y'all the man? Why your face look just like her? Read, man.
Neither shall any priest drink wine when they enter into the
I'm
inner
glad
court.
you said when they enter, because you know folks will say, no, I'm holy, I can't drink no wine. No. It didn't say the priest shall never drink wine. They shall not drink wine when they got work to do. See? Because see, we done made ourselves extra holy at that point. Go ahead.
Neither shall they take for their wives a widow, nor her that is put away, but they shall take maidens of the seed of the house of Israel, or a widow that had a priest before.
Right. So then the priest had to marry certain type of women because how they going to take care of Yahweh's job? And they too busy arguing with their woman all day. They supposed to be over here. They over here trying to get the woman to do what she supposed to be doing. The man got a job to do. You see that they large roundabout the tabernacle, right? You think them brothers was sitting there waiting on their women to get ready when they had a job to do? There's a reason why these brothers start, and I've been did it. Hey, we're going to drive in different cars. I got a job to do. I'm not going to be late for my job. I see you when you get there, boo-boo. We got a job to do. That's why Yahweh said, no, the priest got to marry a certain type of woman that's going to understand. Oh, no. He got a job to do. You need to leave him alone. See, when a woman understand that, she'll go get the kids. Babe, the kids, this ain't the time to mess with him. No. He going to snap all y'all heads off. Leave him alone. He got a job to do. This is not, don't talk to him right now. Don't talk to him. Do sign language. Don't talk to him. He's not going to be good to deal with. That's why I said, them henpecked brothers, they're not going to be able to do nothing for Yahweh. Because instead of doing the job, they over there pecking at the woman. What you doing? Where you go? Hey, man, ain't you supposed to be over there? Ain't you supposed to be over there? Go do your job. Well, I was waiting for her. I was trying to see what she was going to do. I was trying to see how she feeling. And here's the thing. If that's a good woman, and if that's a woman of Yah, you know what Yahweh do? Move you out the picture and get her another man that's going to do what the hell he supposed to do and keep her. Right. Read.
Verse 23. And they shall teach my people the difference between the holy and profane, and cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean. And in controversy they shall stand in judgment, and they shall judge it according to my judgments, and they shall keep my laws and my statutes in all mine assemblies, and they shall hallow my Sabbaths. And they shall come at no dead person to defile themselves, but for father or for mother or for son or for daughter, for brother or for sister that has had no husband, they may defile themselves.
Now you see where that separation line went for the sister? Once she had a husband, he was not able to defile himself. And you have nothing but preachers doing funerals, bring the body right up in the church, but because they getting money, they giving eulogies about how great somebody was, and they didn't know who them people were. It's amazing what $10,000 will make you say. You say all kind of stuff. But the priest's not supposed to defile themselves. That body was never supposed to be inside the church. That body was supposed to be outside waiting to go to the burial place. See, we've gotten so accustomed to how people do things here that we think it's normal to have a dead body sitting in the middle of the church while everybody else, then everybody go by and look at it. Go all in, stick their face all in there. Some people cry, they jump all in the casket. No, don't leave it. What are you doing? And we think that's normal. It's not normal. That's why we have to learn what the instructions are. Least we let our emotions take us to a point where Yahweh didn't have to separate himself from us. Go ahead.
Verse 26. And after he is cleansed, they shall reckon unto him 7 days. And in the day that he goes into the sanctuary, onto the inner court, to minister in the sanctuary, he shall offer his sin offering, said the Adonai. And it shall be unto them for an inheritance. I am their inheritance. And you shall give them no possession in Israel. I am their possession.
Right. This is why they receive the offerings. This is why they receive the certain things that they receive, because they're not going to have the same land that the children of Israel have. Go ahead.
They shall eat the meat offering and the sin offering and the trespass offering, and every dedicated thing in Israel shall be theirs.
That's why the priests normally gain a little weight, because they be eating. Go ahead, bro.
And the first of all, the first fruits of all things, and every oblation of all, of every sort of your oblations.
Hey, man, you laughing too hard, bro. You laughing too hard, bro. You laughing too hard, bro. I know I don't put on little pounds, bro. I just play. But see, I end up tripping off them vegetarian brothers who be talking about they priests. Ain't no such thing as a vegetarian priest, bro. They got to eat the offerings. How you gonna be a vegetarian priest? Right. Read, man.
Shall be the priest. You shall also give unto the priest the first of your dough, that he may cause the blessing to rest in your house. The priest shall not eat of anything that is dead of itself, or torn, whether it be fowl or beast.
All right. Let's go to Romans chapter 2. So when we understand how certain things have to be done, this gives us the reason why you have all of these Israelites that are sealed to come and do this job with the Mashiach, because this rite of passage as far as the work is handed down from family to family. And there are some that have been faithful generations ago, and their offspring is going to reap the benefits of that. And that's something that people just have not considered. Their offspring have to receive the benefits of the things that they have done to remain faithful, even though the rest of the children of Israel went astray. Romans chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 9.
Tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that does evil, of the Yehudi first, and also of the Gentiles.
Right. So then when you deal with punishment, punishment goes to Israel before it goes to anybody else. And this is something that we don't understand. We always walking around whining about the things that we go through. Tribulation and anguish go to Israel first. This is the order that Yahweh has said this goes in. Go ahead.
But glory, honor, and peace to every man that works good, to the Yehudi first, and also to the Gentile. For there is no respect of persons with Elohim, for as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law. And as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. For not the hearers of the law are just before Elohim, but the doers of the law shall be justified.
Right. And do we understand that? The doers of the law shall be justified. So what the adversary, the devil, has to do is to go about to change the law, to tell you that the law is no longer valid. Not understanding that the Mashiach fulfilled the part of sacrificial law. That has nothing to do with moral law or dietary law. Those are two totally separate things. Go ahead.
For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these, having not the law, are a law unto themselves, which show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another.
Right. When they do by nature the things that are contained in the law, but they are not subject to those things in the same way that the children of Israel are, it automatically becomes the things of righteousness to them. That's extra credit. So you got Euro Gentiles who can do what you're doing, and they getting extra credit while you just getting regular credit. Now imagine if you let somebody tell you that you didn't have to do it. Now you getting no credit while they getting extra credit. And then you're going to have people with their feelings hurt how Gentiles walk in the kingdom and you stuck outside looking in the gate. How they getting in there? Because all that stuff they did was extra credit. It was regular for you, but you chose not to do it. Because you don't let some smooth talking serpent talk you out of it. Go ahead.
In the day when Elohim shall judge the secrets of men by Yahshua the Mashiach, according to my gospel.
So then there's going to be a judgment, right? Ain't this New Testament? But see, that doctrine that we got on Sunday morning told us that you die and you go zip tang into heaven. So what judgment happened at? If you died and went zip tang into heaven, what was the judgment period? Every man going to have to answer for the things that he has done. How you get judged? The preacher still at the funeral saying that they in heaven right now. They ain't even closed up the box yet. Go ahead.
Behold, you are called a Yehudi, and resteth in the law.
Right. Do we understand that? Do we understand that we're supposed to rest in the law? Or did we let one of them smooth talking serpents tell us otherwise? Go ahead.
And maketh your boast of Elohim, and knoweth his will, and approveth the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law.
Right. So when people say, oh, y'all must be reading out of that bondage, they don't understand who they are and that they're supposed to be instructed out of the law. That's why they walking around singing and shouting all day. Because they trying to make themselves feel good. But things that make you better don't always make you feel good. Not at the present moment. Everybody want to be fit and everybody want to be muscular, but don't nobody want to go to the gym. We'll spend $10,000 on workout equipment and just look at it as we walk by the door. That is a nice machine right there. That's pretty much all we do when we walk by the road. That is a nice machine right there. You know, if you're not gonna get on it though, you don't just get a weight bench and get built. You know what I'm saying? That's not how that works. If that's the case, they would sell 1 million more weight benches if you just buy the weight bench and the muscles come with it. I know I would have bought about 7 or 8 by now. Yeah, I want to get that gray one and make sure you give me those black muscles. I need those right there. Oh, I would have definitely got me some. That's not how that works. There's still some stuff that has to be done there. Go ahead.
Verse 19. And are confident that you yourselves are a guide of the blind, a light of them which are in darkness.
Right. If you're going to be a guide unto them that are in the darkness, but you have been instructed out of the law, that means you have to wait on your instruction before you go to instructing other people. When people ask you a question, if it's something that you can answer, you do. If not, you know what? That's beyond what I'm able to deal with. But I think I know some people that might be able to help you. Let me forward you to them. Instead of sticking your whole foot in your mouth, and then you walking the next quarter mile spitting out toe jam because you done stuck your foot in your mouth. Go ahead, bro.
An instructor of the foolish, a teacher of babes, which has the form of knowledge and of the truth in the law. You therefore which teacheth another, teacheth you not yourself? You that preaches a man should not steal. Does you steal?
Why would you be teaching that if the law is done away with? Why would you be teaching anything of the law? You shall not steal is a part of the commandments. You got whole assemblies that's got a list of commandments hanging on their wall, and they're not keeping any of them. It is just turned into a little cute picture. But then go and ask them about remember the Sabbath to make it holy. Now they got to give you another story about how now every day is holy. But if you rest on every day, you lazy. I can't rest every day. The Sabbath is a rest. Okay? See, that was a cute little thing old TD Fakes said. Oh, Monday's holy, Sunday's holy, Tuesday's holy. Why? Everybody's got to holler. Ah! Oh, that sounds real cute. But the Sabbath is a day of rest. I can't rest every day. What day did I work then? If I rest every day, what am I resting from? I ain't did nothing now. 6 days shall you labor. The seventh day is holy. In it you shall rest. What am I resting from if I ain't did nothing the other 6 days? How can I rest the other 6 days? Now what I've done is made every day equal to the Sabbath. So how is the Sabbath holy then? If it is now not set apart and every day is holy. See, people don't know how to recognize evil when it comes. See? Those people had no idea that what TD had said to them was completely evil. Because what he did was made every day equal to the Sabbath. Now Yahweh's a liar. So that TD can be right. And that they can keep going on Sunday doing what they're accustomed to doing. And that's what people want to hear. Tell us all day that we good and we ain't got to make no changes and you're going to be a very rich man. That's why they going in there throwing money all on the floor. Because that is what they want to hear. We ain't got to make no changes. See? And if you tell Israel a bunch of lies, Israel will bring you all kind of money. Teach this truth. Israel going to put $2 in the collection plate. Tell one of them Christian lies. They going to need help. Brother, get the other end so I can put this money in here. I get, brother, get push from the bottom. We can get this money in here. Right. That's what we do to liars. That's what we do to liars. But what we do to those that tell the truth, we give them the leftover broken gum out of our pocket. I go in there sometimes, it's a half of Wrigley's in there. They didn't even put the whole damn gum in there. Damn, I can't even chew the whole gum. They just broke off a piece of it and put it in there. Right. Right. Read, man.
Romans chapter 2 and verse 22. You that says a man should not commit adultery, does you commit adultery? You that abhorreth idols, does you commit sacrilege? You that maketh your boast of the law, through breaking the law, dishonoreth you Elohim?
Uh-huh.
For the name of Elohim is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written. For circumcision verily profits if you keep the law.
Right. Circumcision profits if you keep the law. And it was, interesting when you get to talking to people and they start having all these conversations about the law and how you don't have to do it. And then you just pause for a second and say, okay, so are you circumcised? And watch that conversation take a complete left turn. Because you got a whole lot of Gentiles and our people who are circumcised but have no idea what circumcision means. They have no idea what the circumcision means. They don't know that they were entering into a covenant. Your parents entered you into this covenant to be able to walk in this law. Then you went to church every Sunday hearing that you didn't have to deal with the law. Read.
But if you be a breaker of the law, your circumcision is made uncircumcision.
Uh-huh.
Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law,
Righteousness of the law, not the letter of the law. See? Yahweh is going to restore order in his house. Go ahead.
shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge you, who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law? For he is not a Yehudi, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision, which is outward in the flesh. But he is a Yehudi, which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of Elohim.
Right. So no matter how many times you encounter these people with all their fringes all over, who swear that they are outward Israel without a circumcision of the heart, they are not Israel. I don't care how many fine outfits you purchase. You're just Israel on the outside. And the same thing that was said in the Old Testament, there should be a circumcision of the heart. But you'll find that there's a difference between the sheep and the goats. Goats ain't going to change. No matter what you say to a goat, the goat gonna do what it want to do. But it's still gonna walk up to you just as bold and think that it's just like everybody else. The same thing the foolish virgins do. They gonna show up with the wise virgin. Swear they just the same. And ain't nothing you can do to tell them different. But the foolish virgins and the goats have a job. They make the sheep stronger. There's some things that we have to consider when you look in Romans 9 and verse 4. Brother, read that. Romans 9 and verse 4.
Who are Israelites?
To
whom pertains the adoption, and the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of Elohim, and the promises.
So then you have this part in the New Testament that is telling you the authority given to the children of Israel. What has happened in today's time, the authority of Israel has been erased and given unto the Christian foundation, because Japheth and his people are in rulership in the earth. So what they have then done is transfer the rulership of the church unto them. They never had any authority to do that. See, the rulership of the church didn't change as far as authority goes. See, that was not part of Japheth's rulership. He got to rule the earth, but he did not get to rule the church. He took that. That's going to have to be restored. Read the next one.
Romans 11 and verse 25. For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part has happened to Israel, until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in.
The fullness of the Gentiles is their time that was given unto them to rule. So Israel shall be blind in part until the rulership of the Gentiles is over. Then you got strange people out there teaching that we are Israel and the Gentiles. I tell you, if you listen to them purple people, you're going to be howling at the moon. Because they teach some of the strangest doctrine that you ever want to hear. How we become both of them. How we out of power and in power at the same time. Because it says until the fullness of the Gentiles come in. Now, if we became Gentiles, that means we're supposed to be in power. Tell me what country we rule. Where that's at? Let me know. I want to visit it. Tell me the place where we in control of our own money and the police is of us. Everything. Tell me where that's at. Right. See, it don't add up. Now let us go to Revelation chapter 7. Sometimes there's some things that you have to read before other things. Because if you just go right into it, this is why you have so many different doctrines about who these 144,000 are going to be and why. Because people think that this is the amount of people that are going to receive their salvation. This has nothing to do with that. See, when you talk about the order and specifics about which family did what job, now you're understanding. Remember what it said, because there had been a change in things for the Messiah came out of the tribe of Yehuda. There must also be a change in the law, allowing other tribes to be in the priesthood. So then when you read these things, then you understand what it's talking about, and not about salvation all over the earth among all the other people. This is dealing with the order of his house. The descendants of those same people who had those jobs have to go and do the job of their families. You have to consider something. If there's a priesthood and Yahweh has ordained that the priests have to marry certain women, even when we were in Christian church, there were certain women that always wanted a church man, and they never really understood why. But understand, if there's a priesthood, then that means there's daughters of the priesthood who are going to forever be attracted to priestly men. You just didn't know what you was looking at. See, we doing some stuff and we think we know what we're doing. This stuff has to keep following the way it was set up in the beginning. Revelation chapter 7, and let's start that at verse 1.
And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Elohim, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea.
Right. So before these things are put into play, there are certain events that have to take place. Go ahead.
Saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Elohim in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
Right. And we've heard all various kinds of doctrines that put all manner of people over the earth in this, not understanding that this is about the order of Yahweh's house. And the stranger that approaches unto him will be put to death. Go ahead.
Of the tribe of Yehuda were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Gad were sealed 12,000.
Right. And he's starting with the tribe of Yehuda. Yehuda's the fourth born. He ain't the firstborn. Go ahead.
Of the tribe of Asher were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Nephthalim were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Dan were sealed 12,000.
Right. And the reason why it should be Dan there, because it already talks about a house of Yosef later on, and Manasseh is in the house of Yosef. You can't have a house of Manasseh and a house of Yosef. They are the same house. Go ahead.
Of the tribe of Simeon were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Levi were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Issachar were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Zebulun were sealed 12,000.
You know, you find it interesting when you deal with all of these people and their false 12 tribe charts. You know, we basically end up being just like the Ish. Everybody swear they Jew. Everybody swear they Judah. We got 50 million Judites and nobody in no other tribe. It's going to be 2 other people from other tribes, and you got 50 million Judites. That ain't going to work. Go ahead.
Of the tribe of Yosef were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Benjamin were sealed 12,000. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number.
Right, and somehow we don't hear this great multitude. Somehow, you know, the purple people eaters didn't read this great multitude. Apparently, the great multitude is all us. We Jew, we Gentile, we everything. We the baker, the Quaker, the candlestick maker, we everything. There's something seriously wrong with that doctrine. Go ahead.
Which no man could number, of all nations.
I'm sorry, where they come from?
All nations.
Where?
All the nations.
So every nation?
Yes, sir.
So all the nations then?
All nations.
So not just Israel?
Nope. All kindreds and people.
Well, wait a minute. Maybe it's saying that because we got everywhere else. We went everywhere. So it's just talking about us out of those nations, right?
No, it didn't say the nation of Israel. It said all nations.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
And people and tongues.
Uh-huh. Oh, so they're going to speak other languages?
Yes, sir.
So they all not going to speak Hebrew?
No.
What? What book you reading, bro?
King James, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Stood before the throne and before the Lamb,
Uh-huh.
clothed with white robes and palms in their hands.
Right. We have to be careful how we hear, what we hear. All you need to go on the internet is an internet service provider and a webcam. It's not necessary that you know what the hell you're talking about. And that's something that we need to consider. And a lot of times we look at things and say, oh man, they got 2 million views. You can buy views. And I don't think people consider that. See, because we so busy trying to find whatever the most popular view is. See, you can purchase views. And that ends up fooling a lot of us. And we want to follow that wherever the crowd goes. The word says it is a narrow path that leads to salvation, and few there be that find it. But we like to go the wide, broad way, so we fit in with everybody else. But that's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.